lot of work. It's a Friday night. The calendar has changed. And look who I have sitting with us this evening. It's a Friday night with Stirring the Pot. This is Stirring the Pot with Dr. K. And my very special guest, he's known as Mr. Ray. What's up, my man? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good, my friend. Thank you for so much. Thank you so much for coming in, sitting down, and talking to us, the fans. Because this isn't my show. This is our show. This is for everybody. I do have my name on it and all of that crap, but it's not my show. It's for everybody to enjoy. Hopefully, just not my dad is watching this along with his dog. If he is, I apologize. I'm sorry for that. But but what we do here is usually we get the wrestlers on, we pull back the curtain, we get a little character, kind of get the character pushing aside, and try to learn about our talent, our local talent that we see in the ring. But today, boys and girls, it's a little bit different. Mr. Ray, he actually does a podcast. I don't know if you're going to turn this off once I say his partner's name, because he's part of the Stupid Bike Club. He is the king of spades. Corey Adam is his partner. So we're going to dive into that, get to know Mr. Ray and the podcast and all of that good stuff. So let's just start off. There's a lot of topsy-turvy going on in the world right now, sir. I would hope that yourself, your family, your friends, your circle, everybody's good from this whole King COVID bullshit going on there.
I hope the same for you all. So everybody here so far is doing good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That was short and quick because usually that takes a turn. I've had that question take a turn on me. But I'm glad everything is well. We were talking just a smidge off air before because I was running around like an idiot. I kind of got here a little bit late. I've listened to your podcast with yourself and Corey. Fun stuff. But what I also did, I sat in because you weren't doing the best at one point, and I kind of want to start there because I don't know much about Mr. Ray. All I know is he is his Corey Adams co-host or host or partner, if you will, on the podcast. So let's kind of start right there. We'll talk about the podcast, but I want to talk specifically what was going on with yourself because I'm quite curious. If you are we good to speak about that?
Of course.
Might I ask?
Of course.
Okay. What was going on with Mr. Ray? I sat in with Corey. We spoke to Michael Braun, fashionista of Jimi Hendrix and all of those old cats. Very cool guy. But talk to us about what was going on with Ray at that time.
Yeah, I was in the hospital. I had a high fever and kidney stones.
Ooh. Oh, that, I haven't had that, and I don't wish that on anybody. So you seem to pull through that. It took a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, though. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, I just finally finished dealing with that maybe 3-4 weeks ago, actually.
Oh,
it finally passed. They had to put a tube in my kidney, and it took months of redoing the tube because it stopped working, and me having to evacuate during Hurricane Laura, I believe. I almost died.
Oh my God.
And yeah.
Wow, it's been a rough ride for Mr. Ray over, and this is all during the COVID, correct?
Right. This is all almost the entirety of last year.
Wow. Well, it seems that you are doing better. We like that. That's for sure. You've been feeling okay, with your situation. You've been getting better and all of that.
Yeah, I've been seeing like a home nurse and a therapist. They come a few times a week just to make sure I'm doing okay. Mm-hmm. But so far everything is great.
That's awesome. So glad to hear that. Because when Corey reached out and he was like, "Hey, my partner can't make it. Would you mind sitting in?" I go, "Yeah, no problem." But yeah, I seen you were kind of going through a bad time. So again, we're glad to see you're well. especially through this bullshit that we got going on with the
Yeah.
whole virus stuff. I mean, holy cow, that could have not been easy for you at all.
No,
Um,
it's not.
Perseverance, my man. It takes perseverance sometimes up here. In wrestling, we talk about the physicality and the mindset. But when it comes to a situation like that, sometimes that mindset just has to jump that hump and get past the bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that particular day, I even told Corey, like, I'm okay. I can do it. I was trying to fight through it because I felt like I was letting him down.
Mhm.
So I was trying to fight through. It's like, no, take care of you. You know,
Yes.
I got this.
Mhm.
I was almost fighting him on it. Like, I can do it. From my
Well,
high school,
that
mind you. I was like,
well, anybody that fights Corey Adams, I'm down. So that's good. I like that. uh, Now, the association. I'd like to dive into the association with Corey Adams, and then we're going to jump into the podcast. How did you guys connect, sir?
we connected through an agent, Scott Stasiak. No, Steve Stasiak. I'm sorry. He wanted me to interview Corey on my YouTube show, the
Okay.
Mr. Ray Show. And then maybe a month or two later, Corey contacted me again. He was like, he was thinking about doing a podcast, and he wanted someone to do it with, and I was one of the people he thought of.
Oh, wow. That's very cool, man. Now, was there a feeling out process, or did you guys just kind of jump right into it and just see where the chemistry took you? How did that kind of go?
We just jumped right in.
And,
We kind of
and you had, yeah, go ahead.
we kind of each had an idea of what we wanted to do, and we just kind of somehow put it together. It's still a work in progress, but
Mhm.
everything's going to work out.
I've seen that you guys were running strong for a little bit, then you took a little break, and now there's been a recent episode I was listening to on the way home, driving like a maniac to get here and do this one. Uh, and you guys were talking to one former ECW, Jason Knight. I've seen Jason Knight perform, obviously, in ECW. I've seen
Mhm.
Jason Knight perform personally in our area. He was running a company out of Waterbury for a little bit. I've went to those shows as well.
Mhm.
ACW, Assault Championship Wrestling. I'm sure I didn't get to go through the whole podcast yet. I'm sure you guys talked about that. Uh, how how is it? Because I see Corey as a wrestling guy. Are you associated with wrestling, or are you had your own thing going on, but you like wrestling? And Corey kind of brought that wrestling element to the table.
Yeah, I've been a lifelong fan of wrestling, and when I had the idea that I wanted to interview wrestlers, I just started emailing people just randomly, not even expecting anything to happen, and it snowballed from there.
So let's kind of jump the timeline. We're talking the Mr. Ray show now. You interview wrestlers for the Mr. Ray show, or is there different artists, or how
Yeah,
does that work?
I I interview wrestlers on the Mr. Ray show,
Okay.
and I've been doing that for like almost 3 years.
Oh wow, 3 years. I'm sorry, my face is off in your grill. Uh, my I got a message coming in, and I wanted to make sure that there was no interruptions. Can you hear me, sir? Because I think my speaker
Yes,
turned
sir.
on. Oh, okay.
I can
Thank
hear
you.
you fine.
Excellent. So, are you going for the local scene? Are you looking for the bigger talent? Because I didn't know there was a Mr. Ray show. Also, tell us about the talent you're getting and how do we find it?
I've gotten most of my interviews through Steve.
Oh,
He's been a huge help. If
a, a different plateau. Are they on the national level or are they on the indie level, if you will?
It's a mixture of all. I've interviewed indie, I've interviewed WWE legends, and
Wow.
everything in between it. I'm all over it. Anyone he gives me, I'll talk to him.
Uh, how many interviews do you say you've done so far in the wrestling community?
Combined or just Mr. Ray show?
The Mr. Ray show.
I've done, I believe, 23 interviews.
Nice. Yes. Uh, as you start doing them little by little by little, you find yourself, we were speaking again off camera, you don't know how to start it because you've never done it. So when you get a couple under your belt, you kind of feel where you want to go, how you want to do it and such. Now me, I'm not that bright. We all know that. I go off the cuff. I don't research a damn thing. I'm stupid for doing it. But as I've said on the description of each video, I think on the cuff, off the fly, without a little bit, without even a little bit of research, it's dangerous, but it's also a lot of fun. How do you go about when you do the Mr. Ray show? Are you researching, and because you're dealing with some of the bigger names and such, are you researching? Are you going on the fly? How you doing your thing?
I do days of research, watch videos, look up any info I can so I can come up with as good a questions as I possibly can. And then sometimes that doesn't even work. Questions just pop into my head like, oh, that sounds interesting. I might want to talk about that. And then
there's a younger kid, he's 16. His name is Donovan Dwyer. He started doing interviews about a year or so ago. And we've kind of built a friendship over the course of right before the COVID started. We were at a show. It was pretty much the last show before COVID in Western Massachusetts. We had a blast. I went up, I introduced myself, and we've been friends ever since that day. And Donovan, he's kind of found himself, he's got a chemistry about him now, kind of feeling a little bit comfortable on how to ask and such. But my point being is, when you're going in an interview, sometimes the questions just go right out the window because they start talking, their answers become part of more questions and stuff. You can kind of feed right off of what's going on. And he's kind of taken that on. And for 16 years old and doing interviews, I applaud him a million% for doing that.
That's very impressive because I'm still learning. And
because it's not an easy gig. It really isn't.
Like in my mind, it sounds so easy, like I can do it. But as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh crap, what am I doing?
Not to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna anyways. Not to slight anybody that you've interviewed, but to date, with the Mr. Ray show specifically, who do you feel is probably your favorite interview so far?
Urban Legend. He's based out of Virginia, I believe.
Okay.
I've interviewed him a few times, actually.
The follow-ups, those are always great because you can't ask everything in, a pocket of time,
Right.
So I think the follow-ups are pretty cool to do. Now, where are you based out of, my friend? Because I don't think you're in Connecticut, are you?
No, I'm all the way in Beaumont, Texas.
Wait, you're in Texas and you connected with the King of Spades, Corey Adams? I am so sorry. Oh my God. Gee whiz.
Yeah, all the way in Texas.
Oh, no kidding. Wow, that's awesome. Man, Texas is a crazy place over there, my friend. You guys know how to party and such. Now, the love of wrestling obviously got you into doing the interviews for the Mr. Ray show. Was it always a one-man gig? Do you use your laptop, your phone? How did this kind of start? You getting into it?
It's always just been me. Sometimes sometimes if I do a video, I incorporate family if they want to be in the video.
Mhm.
And I've always just used my trusty old laptop here.
Nice. I use my phone. I've used my phone for a couple of years now. I've just dove into the indie scene 2016. Been
Hmm.
a lifelong, wrestling fan and such. Always, the WWF and such. But even going before that, the AWA, WCCW, NWA, and those kind of organizations. Uh, you've said that you've always been a wrestling fan. What were you growing up on, and who were you kind of really looking at? Who were some of your favorites when you were growing up?
Ric Flair, the Macho Man, Randy Savage,
Mm.
Sting, Hogan, guys like that.
Hmm.
That's
The larger than life characters, those guys. Everyone you mentioned, everyone you mentioned, very larger than life characters. And wrestling, we talk about that because you we find that the easier characters are the ones that kind of come within that are already there, and you just amp them up some more
right.
instead of trying to build a character from scratch. That's kind of what I've found over the time of interviewing the fine talent we have.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, man, some of these guys, you can just tell that what they present in the ring to what they present in real life is definitely not far in between.
Right.
Now, when you have the talent come on, are you talking them in character? Because I've done some in character, in gimmick, if you will, interviews where they just don't turn that switch off. Or are you doing it in a real life kind of perception? How are you doing it?
I'm doing it more in the real life situation,
Okay.
just letting them be themselves.
Yeah. You find that they're open in speaking with you and just being
Yeah.
candor, if you will.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Now, what I have found also over time doing these interviews is that the talent, uh, I always say I'm a guy with a phone that goes to shows and have fun. They kind of spin it around on me and they say that I'm presenting something, a service, if you will, more than I know because they appreciate it so much and it doesn't go unseen. And I've gotten a respect from the talent that I've talked to and made friendships with and such and interviewed. Um, are you finding any connections with the people that you're interviewing? Because I'm going to the shows live and making a lot of these connections.
Yeah.
But during the interviews, are you finding some connection?
Yeah, I still talk to a lot of the people I've interviewed. I still
Yes.
keep in contact with most of them.
Awesome. That's fantastic to hear. Because you see wrestling on TV, you perceive it as one thing. But then when you start talking to the men and women, your perception is changed a little bit because it's real effing life. It's not like just like actors and those larger than life people. You think they're Teflon and they don't get hurt and their feelings are, 100 all the time when they're not.
Mm. Yeah.
And they're human and they go through a lot of shit in their lives just like we do. So I find that very cool that you can build some relationships speaking to the talent. I just find it so cool. Now in Texas, if I'm not mistaken, wrestling is very vibrant. I mean, not now with the COVID, but previous to the COVID, a lot of wrestling in Texas. Am I not mistaken on that one, sir?
Now you're correct.
Do you go to the indie shows?
I haven't gone yet. I just recently found out that there's a company in my city that I had no idea about.
Uh, you got to keep your eyes open, my friend.
And so as soon as things, open back up and I told them I have to go.
So this would be your first indie show ever that you've gone to?
Yeah.
Oh man,
My
you,
first
my friend, you're gonna have such a great time if you've ever been to it. And I know you've seen plenty of. If I birthed, I apologize. Wow, that just slipped right out there. Um, I know when you watch the wrestling on TV, it's one thing. When you go to the events, WWE live events and such and pay-per-views or Raws and SmackDowns, that's another thing. But when
Right.
you go to an independent show, it's so more intimate. It's so more right there. Like you can just almost touch it all the time. And I just absolutely, I don't want to, looking for the word. I absolutely I feel it more, if you will,
Right.
than when I watch these bigger events at the WWF shows or
Right.
WWE shows. God, they're going to kill me. So you are going to absolutely love the indie scene. I can't wait until you go to your first one. You're going to have to do a follow-up and let me know how it went, my man.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, do you follow the local talent that's out there? Do you see any familiar faces that you would be, at said company?
Yeah, a few of them I've actually interviewed.
Oh, now that is going to be even a bonus because you have that little bit of relationship going on. Oh man, you are going to have such a blast, Ray. Oh my goodness, so much fun they are. And I know we're going through some times, but boys and girls, when you're at the shows, if you don't have $20 to buy a shirt, that's okay. Buy a button for like $3. Buy a sticker for $1. Do what you can when you're at the shows because every time you buy a sticker, every time you buy a button, a keychain, whatever they have to offer, that's money in their pocket. That's their livelihood. So when you're
Right.
at these indie shows, and I speak to everybody on this, just pull $1 out. If you don't have $20 for a shirt, it doesn't matter. Pull a buck out and buy a sticker. They will love you for it forever. Believe me. Because they get some have day jobs and some don't. So during this COVID, some are still relying on like their pro wrestling tee store and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So it's a really tough gig for the wrestlers that are truly using that for their livelihood. So I feel for those boys and girls. So you really gotta, support them. I have. I can't even fit all of the damn shirts that I bought in my closet, right? I've got so much shirts. It's unbelievable. Uh, Now, let's get into the podcast you're doing with Corey Adams. I hate saying his name. Oh, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Let's talk about that. Let's get into the name and some of the personalities that you guys have talked to because Jason Knight was a really cool pickup. So talk to us about the podcast you got going on with Corey.
The name, I believe it was his idea. And we've talked to some very interesting people from all over. We've interviewed Britney, Britney Spears book author.
What? I didn't see that coming.
A stunt actress. I forget what movie.
Nice.
And
Michael Braun,
yeah,
the Taylor extraordinaire for the rock stars. You guys have quite of a eclectic mix of people that you have coming on the show.
yeah, we kind of go all over the place. Whoever we can get, we'll talk to them.
Are you going through an agency or are you guys doing it on your own to get the talent to come in and
We're doing it on our own.
Tough gig, isn't it, my friend?
Very tough. We've gotten a lot of no's and a lot of non-answers, but that's okay.
Oh
you
yeah,
kind of expected that, especially being new.
Yeah, and I've always said I will never be scared to ask somebody if they want an interview or if they want to do promos because I do like on the spot promos at the shows. It's either going to be a yes or it's going to be a no. I mean, you're really not going to get anything in between, except when you do it in the messenger and stuff. You get those those no sells. Ooh, those little bitches, they get you. They dig into you when they just don't answer. Oh goodness, that burns my ass.
Those hurt the most.
Yes, thank you. They do. So, I mean, if any talent is out there watching this, I mean, please. And I always end with anytime I send hey, do you want an interview? And whatever I say in it, at the very tail end, Hope to hear back from you either way. And I still get no sold. Please, talent, just give us a yes or no. That would be appreciative. Please. The unseen messages, those really are stinkers. And
Yeah, like like I know you see it's right there. Just yes or no. I'm okay with the no. Just
yes, exactly.
at, at least you're not ignoring me, you know?
Yep. Uh, I feel I've kind of put the effort into at least reaching out because we want to talk to you for a reason. It's not just to, I'm not pulling a hat, like a name out of a hat. I'm thinking, who should I interview? Your name comes up. I reach out to you. I wish at least a yes or a no would come through. There's been I don't want to say a decent amount, but there's been a couple good handfuls of no sells, if you will.
Mhm.
Uh, now, is there anybody genre specific, maybe the wrestling or anything, because you guys have this collective talent that comes in on. And what's the name of the podcast again? I'm sorry, with you and Corey.
Behind the curtain.
Oh, Behind the Curtain. Yes, yes, yes. Behind the Curtain. Is there a favorite genre, be it wrestling or whatever you guys have had on, that you like to interview, or it doesn't matter because you're just willing to interview whoever wants to come on and you're good with it?
It really doesn't matter because
Okay.
everyone has a story to tell, and we're there to listen.
I must say, when you see the talent in ring and then you get to sit and talk to them, I started doing face to face, going to their homes. They would invite me to their homes and such, which
Mhm.
I felt as a fan a big honor and a privilege to be able to cross that fan locker room line, if you will. I guess I'll say,
Right.
because that's a line, that's an invisible line um, that many don't get to cross, and I have the privilege of doing some of that those things, being invited to their homes and such. But it's changed because of the times. So now I've been doing a bunch of Skype, and I picked Skype. I've been asked why not Zoom instead of Skype. Zoom, after 40 minutes, it costs money. I can yak and yak and yak, my friend. I don't
Me
want to
too.
be limited to 40 minutes. So I feel that the Skype, it's free, and I can save the recordings. You can record for a 24-hour process and be able to save that. So that's a big reason why I use Skype uh, for the interviews. Now, when you do your interviews for the Mr. Ray show, how are you doing yours? Are you doing it like this and processing it onto the YouTube, or how are you doing your thing?
I record on this program called Movie Maker.
Okay,
You know, I have them either call my phone or I call theirs, and I record their voices from my phone to my computer.
got you. So you're doing audio, not video, correct?
Right.
Okay. And same thing with Behind the Curtain, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Now I've noticed when with what you guys are doing this Behind the Curtain, you've been looking for sponsors and you want to be able to broaden the brand out, the Spotify and all of the platforms. How is that going? And I know it's a hard gig to really start getting rolling, but I'm kind of curious. How are you guys fitting in and getting your name spread out there?
It's a slow process, but it's moving.
Hmm.
You know, it's
Hey,
taking its time, but I
any
I can't
any
complain.
movement, yeah, any movement is great movement. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And as far as Corey goes, he has helped me so much. You know, he normally takes the lead on the show, which I'm completely fine with because I'm learning so much from him.
Awesome.
And you know, because as I started, I didn't know what I was doing on my YouTube show. I was just randomly emailing wrestlers,
Yeah.
and then when they say yes, I'm like, oh crap, this is real. I gotta really,
Yeah.
you know, because
It,
in my mind, I'm always expecting a no,
right.
but when I get a yes, I'm like, wow, okay, now I really have to do this. So with him, he's taught me so much. You know, he's
So you're gaining more of a confidence level, if you will, correct?
right.
It takes that, especially to talk to these larger than life personalities. And I know they're turning off the switch to give us their story and such, but they're still gigantic characters in and out the ring.
Right.
You're not a wrestler for no reason. You have a big personality. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really cool. So to have that confidence level, it's kind of needed as one of your tools to do these interviews, because if you come off, nervous, unsure, the interviews don't go so well, the questions
Right.
don't come out, the responses don't come out, and you don't get that rapport, if you will,
You're right, because I can remember one interview I was attempting to do. It was with Thunder Rosa.
Love Thunder Rosa.
I had her on the phone and I froze.
Uh-oh.
I completely froze.
Oh no.
I had my questions in my face and couldn't say a word.
So did fandom get the best of you right there? Is that what happened?
I think it did. I really think it did.
You saw the stars and the nerves just got all twisted on you.
Yeah, and that's honestly where things started to go bad for me.
I don't
Like,
mean to laugh. I don't mean to
oh,
laugh.
it's okay because I can laugh at it now. It's how silly it was. You know, I didn't do another interview for for months after that because my confidence was just gone.
Mm-hmm. You got inside your own head, and you couldn't really get back out of it to get back on that horse. But we're so glad you did, because now you're able to interview all sorts of talent. So that's awesome, man.
Honestly, I think it took me interviewing Corey.
Really,
He was my first one after. You know,
man. Uh, this whole tie-in with Corey Adams, I swear, it's even just a little nasty taste at the tip of my tongue. Damn that Bite Club. But anywho, yeah, I go to the shows. I'm ridiculous. I never scream profanities. No vulgar language. I don't flip them off. I don't talk shit about their family or none of that. I'm not one of those fans.
right?
I go there, I cheer and I boo loud and proud, and I don't care if my dad gets embarrassed every time. My poor dad. Let me tell you. Yeah, I don't care. We go to wrestling to get away from the bullshit, and that's another thing you're gonna find. You start going to independent wrestling on the reg, my friend,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna feel that it's a little bit of therapy for one Mr. Ray. You forget what happened that day, that night with your bills, with a fight you had with a coworker or a spouse or a sibling or whatever you had from a shitty day.
Mm-hmm.
Once you walk in those doors at an indie show, your brain it almost turns a switch on, and it forgets all the bull crap, and it says we're here to have fun, and you just start soaking it all in. That's what I get when I go
Yeah.
to indie shows. I feel it's very therapeutic. I don't go to a doctor. Should I? Absolutely. I think we all should. But if you find something that kind of gets your mind at ease a little bit, run with it. Except heroin. You don't want like heroin and the big stuff. You don't want that stuff. Pick something good like wrestling or you know. I didn't mean to blurt out heroin. It just kind of. But anyways, Mr. Ray, what brings you to the name of Mr. Ray? Because I kind of use my real name. I didn't make a stage name or anything. Does that come from your real name, Mr. Ray, or is that something that's made up?
No, Ray is my real name. That's my real
Okay.
first name. And I was gonna use my last name, but I have a stuttering problem. And so
Okay.
Ray was easier for me to say without stuttering.
Makes total sense. Yes.
And
You know, oh, go ahead.
and I thought about that for like a whole week before even creating my YouTube channel. Like, what should I can say this word. I can say this. I can't say that because I'm a stutter. So just use my name. And that's how I came about it.
Now, when you're doing these interviews, what kind of runtime are we talking? Because me, I don't really have a set runtime. Whenever we stop, we stop. I go an average of an hour, if you will. But what are you looking for when you do interviews, runtime wise?
I always ask them for 30 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I leave it up to them. And that's how I base my questions, you know, and sometimes we go less than an hour, sometimes we may go over.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Oh,
and they don't complain because
uh,
the talk is so good. And so
yes. That is such a bonus when you're looking at the runtime and you're like, wow, we've been going a bit over an hour, and but the conversation keeps going. I think
right.
that is such a bonus, my friend. That is excellent to hear. Uh, but I was found I do a lot of those hour and a half kind of deals, maybe hour 20. Kind of gets away from me. But I did find myself in a predicament, if you will. I don't know if you know who Dan DeMan is. He's a local talent in our area. And this guy, he is the heel of heels. Let me tell you, my friend. And I interviewed him, which I did not expect him to agree to in a million years, first off. But when he answered my Skype call, he didn't talk to me. He had a resemblance of a Funko Pop doll that was custom made to his liking. And that's who I interviewed, was a plastic doll. Okay, now here's the kicker. For 2.5 hours, I didn't mean to yell at you, but it really pisses me off. 2.5 hours, I talked to a fucking plastic doll. Did I roll with the punches? Absolutely. Did I have a blast? I've watched that thing back in its entirety, and I had an amazing time. Talking to a plastic doll for 2.5 hours, I never thought I would ever do in my entire life. So you never know what you're going to get, my friend, when it comes to these interviews.
That's awesome.
Oh, goodness,
That's
that guy. If you want to interview somebody and you want to kill a half a day, look up Dan DeMan. I'm telling you, he's your guy.
Yes.
Now, I've followed the behind the curtain with some of the talent that you guys had on, but I've noticed I haven't seen the Bike Club be interviewed on your show. Is that correct on saying it? Am I correct or am I wrong?
I believe we've interviewed one so far, one member.
Oh, damn. I was trying to get a little dig in there that he didn't even interview any of his boys. Oh, God. So you see this stuff that he's doing, right? There's actually something going on this Sunday. I don't know if you're aware of this. The King of Spades, Corey Adams, thinks he's funny. He's been making my resemblance, an avatar, if you will, in what is it called? WWE 2K20, if you will.
I've seen it.
That son's a bitch. That son's a bitch. Makes me come out dancing with a red Solo cup and get my ass whooped and shit. I do gotta say though, I find it very comical. I get a big tickle out of it, but I feel a little warm inside because for the wrestlers that I've talked to, made friendships or relationships with over the course of the past few years, for these guys and girls to put me in a video game, I think is the most crazy thing. I would have never, ever thought that I'd get made, because I don't play video games. I don't have a console. So I would have never thought I would be in part of one of these video games. And I've been in a few of them. The Tested Strength general manager, his son put me in one, in Fire Pro. That was another hilarious one. There's been a couple of them. Youssef, 13, the New Year's Eve, he just made a whole thing with a bunch of the wrestlers' likenesses and put me. It was an 8-man versus. It was like an 8-man free-for-all. And, oh, my God. Mr. Ray, that was funny. I gotta say, that was pretty funny. But I'm getting away from my point. I told you I could talk. My point is, this Sunday, myself, and again, I don't play these console games. I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to be doing. This Sunday, myself and Corey Adams are going to be going head-to-head with his character, Corey Adams, and my character, Don Kincaid, and we're going to be fighting in a cage match on WWE 2K20. Yeah, so I have 5 interviews Saturday. I have 3 interviews Sunday. Then after those 3, I'm going to Corey Adams, wherever this address brings me. I hope it's not his house or the the Bike Club clubhouse, if you will. That would suck. Yeah, and I'm going to play video games with the King of Spades. So I know I've said a lot in the past couple minutes about that. All I am asking, please, sir, he is your partner. He is your co-host. He's your Goomba. He's shown you a little bit of the way when it comes to interviews. Please tell him to be lenient on me. I don't want to die when I go to wherever I'm going to. So put in a good word for me, if you could, please.
I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to him.
Thank you. Yes. I talk when I get nervous. So I'm very nervous to go. That's why I was kind of yipping a lot. Those guys, Bike Club sucks. Now, where do you see you guys going? You're just looking to expand more and more platforms with Behind the Curtain, looking for more and more talent to see where this brand will grow. Is that correct?
I'm hoping for it to get as big as it possibly can, as far as we can take it.
Are you still doing the Mr. Ray show while doing the Behind the Curtain show?
I kind of put the Mr. Ray show on pause to focus on the podcast, but this year I'm going to bring it back.
Okay.
I think it's time.
I feel, and I know you want to be focused, like you said, keyword focused, excellent choice. But again, you've gotten some under your belt. May it be the Mr. Ray, may it be the Behind the Curtain now and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel with that confidence level, I feel you could do both. You know what I'm saying? Because I do these things called the fan roundtables where I bring the fans in. We get a special guest coming in a little bit later. I get like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us all in one Skype. It's a blast. It is so much fun. And then I do the shows.
Right.
Plus I'm editing the stuff. I'm clipping stuff and all of that. So I'm doing a lot. But man, if you're having fun at it, Ray, go for it and just have fun with it, And I know the nerves kick in at times. If you're not nervous at times, then it's not exciting. You know what I'm saying? Because you want it to be exciting. I am nervous AF from time to time. As soon as I hit that record button, because I have nothing written down. I don't know how I'm even going to start it. So I do get nervous quite often from time to time doing these interviews still. But I'm working my way up to 200 episodes. It's right around the corner. You, my friend, tonight is episode 197. So I've been on a roll, and what I've done at one point when the COVID started, for 5 weeks, I did 115 interviews.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I get choked up thinking about it. I was doing 3 a night after work, 4 or 5 each Saturday and Sunday, both. I was doing an average of 25 interviews a week.
Wow, that's impressive.
It was a whirlwind. I got burnt out. I had to take a little break. Well, we got back on that horse, and these past couple weeks have been pretty busy and a lot of fun. And like I said, tomorrow and Sunday, I have like 8. I have 8 interviews and then playing video games with the King of Spades. So I have quite the weekend ahead of me, my friend. How do you schedule yours? Because I'm an idiot. How do you schedule yours? Do you have like a certain thing, like every other week or every week? How do you do it? Or how were you doing it for the Mr. Ray show?
I was just basing it on their schedule. Whenever they had a
Okay.
free day, I made myself available to them.
Got you. Do you name the episodes? Because with each episode that I do, I try to take a little something from the interview and give it a little funky name. Do you name your episodes at all?
Yeah, I normally would name it like title it Mr. Ray interview so and so.
Okay. Now with the behind the curtain, please tell us, because I want you guys. Again, I hope just not my dad is watching. Excuse me. Please tell us, the fans, what are the platforms where we can find behind the curtain, because I want to be able to get your name out there. So if you could give us all of the platforms that are available. Again, it's called Behind the Curtain Podcast. Please give us the platforms you guys are available on.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I believe iHeartRadio.
Wow, you guys are in the iHeart family, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's very cool. Very cool. Because they picked up on podcasts in the last year or two, like something wicked iHeart has.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool to be in. And I know it's a very broad family, and sometimes you get lost in the shuffle.
Right.
So I wish you guys all like a world of luck with everything you guys are doing. I wish you nothing but success. I hope that he doesn't. I hope the King of Spades doesn't give you a cutter out of nowhere one of these days. And so I hope that relationship keeps rolling. You guys keep the chemistry. You keep bringing in the talent. And I want to see behind the curtain on many more platforms. And I wish you both the world of success, my friend.
Same for you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Because it's like we said earlier, it's not an easy gig to get your name out there, because there's so much. Not only was there so much before COVID, but my goodness, Ray, what's come out since COVID? Everybody wants to do something, and a lot of podcasts have come out. So for me to get any views at all, I feel blessed just to even get one view on anything I do.
Me
So
too.
I always think, yeah. So you said that you like watching my stuff, and I thank you so much for even
I'm a huge fan
hitting the
of
play
yours.
button. Thank you so much,
You know,
Ray. I really, truly appreciate that, for real.
I'm actually learning stuff from watching you.
Oh, dude,
From watching your
the
interview.
kind words.
I've
Thank you so
learned
much, man.
I've learned quite a bit from you on how to do mine.
Oh, wow. I hope you didn't pick up my nasty language. I smoke. I shouldn't smoke on them, but it calms me a little bit. You shouldn't smoke. But man, thank you. Really, truly blessed. I thank you so much for those kind words, Ray. Really.
Yeah, thank you for filling in for me on that day I was in the hospital. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Mr. Braun, we were talking to him for about a half hour, and I think Corey asked him 2 questions. No, Corey asked him a question. I asked him a question. I think that was the end of the freaking podcast.
I listened to the show. I was like, that man.
Yeah.
And then we interviewed him a second time.
Yeah, the second time. Yep.
And I was like, this man could talk.
Yes. Yes.
I think we got him maybe 3-4 questions tops.
Yep.
And he
thought I could chit chat. He will answer whatever question you've asked, and probably 10 or 12 that you never knew you wanted to know until he starts talking.
Right. He was awesome.
Yeah, fantastic guy. He's appreciative of his time too. He's very mindful to give you his time. He does not mind that at all.
Right.
Ray, this was a fantastic interview. I appreciate you reaching out. And, when I put up that status, who'd like to sit down? You raise your hand. I really appreciate that because, again, anybody that wants to sit with me and look at my stuff, I just feel honored. So I appreciate you wanting to come on the show.
I've always really wanted to talk to you ever since we've came in contact. I was like, this guy's good.
Yeah,
I can learn.
I appreciate
it. When you put that post, I'm like, I'm not going to pass this opportunity up.
That's awesome. I have found that when the talent reaches out, something happens to me just for that quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds when I get this message and it's a talent that I'm just like, wait, he wants to come on my show? Like, really? My show? Like, holy cow. But again, it's not my show. It does have my name on it, but it's our show. And that's what I like because the fans get to know who's coming on. It's not just me learning about, because I want to learn as well, but it's all of us that are watching. So I appreciate all the views. I appreciate anybody that comes on. But this has been a fantastic hour. I want to give you props for, sticking with Corey Adams. Because, he's in the bike club and the bike club sucks. So I give you props for sticking with Corey Adams. And I see you guys are having some fun over there. Again, a world of success for the Behind the Curtain. He's bringing back the Mr. Ray Show. How do we see that, my friend?
On YouTube.
Just look up Mr. Ray. That's it.
The Mr. Ray Show.
A Mr. Ray Show. Excellent.
Yes,
I'm going to go subscribe this evening. I got to go see me some Mr. Ray.
And if I'm being completely honest, and this is just me talking to you, Corey saved my life. He saved my life. I was in a deep depression and I needed somebody to talk to. So I reached out to him one day and he talked to me and he saved my life. I can honestly say if it wasn't for him, I would be dead right now.
Well, we're so glad you're still here.
And that's just me being real right now.
Hey, I appreciate your candor. And this is what these are all about, my friend. And I appreciate you saying something like that.
And that's something I've never told him yet. But I'm telling you, he's going to hear this for the first time if he watches this episode.
You're Mr. Ray. You're his partner. Of course he's going to watch it. He might just block my face through the whole interview, but I know he's going to want to hear it. With all the goofiness aside, though, with the whole King of Spades and everything, he's always been appreciative of me and always respected me. And I've kind of done that in return. So I feel that right there, that statement is something I don't that didn't surprise me at all with Corey because he's a good guy, so we're glad you're still with us. And I'm glad that Corey pulled you out of whatever rut you were in, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate him. Yeah, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a fine hour. We've learned so much about Mr. Ray, the Mr. Ray Show, Behind the Curtain podcast. This has been excellent. And I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us, Mr. Ray. I thank you one more time, my friend.
I thank you too, sir. I appreciate it.
This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Mr. Ray. We thank you, my friend.